Desecration Demon, Erebos, Mutavault, Whip of Erebos, and Swamp. So Gerry with
Whip.
quite a few nice options there to take with this Thoughtseize.
Very surprising Ben Freeman's list having the 8 black-white lands only for Blood Baron of Vizkopa. So it is accurate to still call this mono black devotion.
It's close enough anyway. So not sure what you take here. Like, what do you think? You know, it also depends on what Gerry's got as far as answers. I can see he's got at least a single Devour Flesh, if not 2.
I think maybe the whip. No,
He's going to go with the Desecration Demon.
In the long game in these mono black devotion mirrors, Whip of Erebos can be a real problem.
Yeah, I like taking Whip there as well, the more I kind of think about it. But Gerry goes with Desecration Demon, and I'm sure there's a reason for it. Gerry's a very, very good player. So Ben leads with Mutavault, says go. Gerry plays a Mutavault of his own and passes back. And now we've got matching boards as Ben plays a Swamp and passes back to Gerry. So Gerry's going to play a Prophetic Prism, which cantrips, draws him another Swamp. He plays a Swamp and passes back to Ben.
The thing with taking the Desecration Demon is that it could have been an indication that Gerry was light on creature removal in the early game. We did see him draw a Hero's Downfall, but if you don't have an immediate answer to the Desecration Demon, you could just die to it very quickly, whereas Whip is more of a long game threat.
Second Mutavault from Ben Friedman will allow him to activate the first Mutavault and attack for 2, and Desecration Demon is the play from Gerry Thompson on turn 4. Devour Flesh, says Ben Friedman. Eat your demon. Demon goes to the graveyard. Gerry gains a chunk of life.
He's forcing Gerry to eat his own demon.
That's what I mean. Eat your demon.
Yeah.
He's telling Gerry. He's saying, Gerry, eat your demon.
You eat your demon.
Yeah. Grey Merchant of Asphodel is the follow-up play from Gerry, and he will gain a couple of life, going up to 24. And in the meantime, it looks like Ben has missed a couple of land drops. Gerry now up to 6 lands, swinging in with a Mutavault and a Grey Merchant, going to knock Ben down to 14. Ben has another copy of Devour Flesh.
Probably see Gerry activate his Mutavault here in a second so that he can keep the extra black mana symbols for future Garys.
It's possible. You can see Gerry's thinking about that. Does he want to lose the land or does he want to lose the Grey Merchant? He goes ahead and sacrifices the Mutavault.
This is going to really power up any future Grey Merchants.
There you go. He draws one off the top, so rewarded for that play.
Rewarded.
Another Grey Merchant comes down, gaining Gerry more life.
Although that's a subtle giveaway there to Ben Friedman that he top-decked that. He played it almost immediately because it was pretty obvious with how long he thought about what to sacrifice. He didn't have it in his hand.
And a Pack Rat is the play from Ben, trying to dig back into this game. Can't seem to find lands. Ultimate price on the Pack Rat from Gerry Thompson, and Gerry just bringing the beats with the Grey Merchant of Asphodel. Gerry at 30, Ben at 4, and Ben in some trouble. Looks like he discards a Grey Merchant of Asphodel.
Stuck on 3
Gerry's
this whole time.
Yeah, and it looks like one of the
block.
Mutavaults is going to eat a Hero's Downfall and scoop him up.
Very unfortunate game there for Ben Friedman. Just could not get anything going, stuck on 3 lands.
Looks like 25 lands in the deck, and same number as Gerry. So yeah, just stuck on the 3 lands as Gerry just overpowered him with more mana and more action. So Gerry Thompson up a game here in our penultimate round. Now, as for sideboards, I imagine those Blood Baron of Vizkopa are in the board for a reason.
Absolutely.
And he's splashing white for a reason. Now, the fact that it's pro-black, now this is something that we've kind of discussed a little bit yesterday and today. One of the key cards that these mono-black decks are playing is Devour Flesh. And that's a great answer to a Blood Baron. So it almost feels as if Blood Baron is not as great against these decks. Now, on the other hand, there are plenty of other creatures in this mono-black deck to sacrifice, including Mutavaults, so you can potentially protect your Blood Baron from Devour Flesh that way. So I still imagine he brings them in.
Yeah, there are multiple ways to protect your Blood Baron here. One simply is that they do not draw their Devour Flesh.
Sure.
Second, you can certainly Thought Seize and clear the way if your plan is to go with Blood Baron, or you could just have some creatures, and that goes both ways. If you have another creature, you can just sacrifice it, or if you have early creatures, they may be forced to use their Devour Fleshes, like perhaps on a turn 2 Pack Rat.
Speaking of which, Gerry playing 4 Pack Rats in his 75. Ben also playing 4. Ben has a 2-2 split while Gerry has a 3-1 split. So that card has just been an all-star in this deck.
Yeah, Gerry has 3 copies of Doomblade in his sideboard, while Ben has only 1 Doomblade.
And 1 in the main. So the Doomblades are coming out. They're going to hang out on the sideboard.
Yeah, they can only kill the Mutavaults.
Yeah, not really enough.
Dark Betrayal.
Now that's a card that that I think is picking up a little bit of steam. It is a sideboard card, but it's great against these mono black decks.
It's a singleton in Ben Friedman's sideboard.
Doesn't appear that Gerry's playing it.
Who is going to win the Ratchet Bomb fight, possibly over Pack Rat? Looks like Gerry's the only one. He's got 2 copies of Ratchet Bomb. Ben does not have any.
No Ratchet Bombs. So.
Well, we'll see if we can get a little better game there. That first game, unfortunately, Ben Friedman just choked on his mana, did not draw enough lands to do anything. At this point in the tournament, we want to see good Magic.
Right, we want to see good games. We want to see interactive games. Having someone just get run over and basically watch Gerry play the Goldfish while Ben just looks at some cards. It's really unfortunate, especially for Ben, for someone in Ben's situation. But that's why we play 3 games.
Yeah,
hopefully
Ben Friedman,
the variance doesn't hit everybody all the time.
Ben Friedman, no stranger to the Invitational. He has top 8'd in the past.
Yeah, and in a position to top 8 yet again, along with Gerry Thompson, who has also had some success in the Invitational.
Just a little.
Just a little. So both players finished sideboarding, now shuffling up. What do you think of Standard right now? Adrian and I were talking about that just before we went to break, about how excited we are about Standard.
It is quite possibly one of the best Standard formats we've had in several years.
I 100% agree. Yeah, I feel like you can really play according to your play style. If you like to play aggressive decks, you can play those. If you like to play kind of mid-rangey decks, you can play those. Mono black is back, right?
Everyone's wanted this for years and years.
It may not be exactly the mono black control as you remember it. Turn 1 Innocent Blood, turn 2 Chainer's Edict, that kind of thing.
Cabal Coffers.
Yeah, Cabal Coffers, Mirari, Corrupt. It's not that exact kind of feel, but and it is a little more mid-range aggressive, but it's still got a control-ish element to it. And it's even got a combo-ish element to it, I feel like, with the Grey Merchant. So you can play that. And then, of course, the true control decks. You've got Blue-White winning the Open last week. You've got Esper, a big part of the metagame, and even Shaheen Sarani pushing Blue-White-Red. So, all right, we're underway. Turn 1, Thoughtseize from Ben Friedman will show us Erebos, Thoughtseize, Swamp, Devour Flesh, Swamp, Nightveil Spectre, and Desecration Demon in Gerry Thompson's hand. So do you Thoughtseize your opponent's Thoughtseize?
That's a possibility.
Kind of depends on what's in your hand. Both players apparently kept their 7.
There is only the 1 removal spell, the Devour Flesh. So if Ben Friedman has a more creature-heavy hand, maybe he takes a Devour Flesh. Like if he wants well, if he only has 1 creature, like I was gonna say turn 2 Pack Rat, but then Gerry's just gonna fire his Thoughtseize back and take that. If he has 2 Pack Rats in his hand, maybe take the Devour Flesh.
Yeah, it kind of depends. But I like Thoughtseizing to Thoughtseize, and that is what Ben goes with.
The important thing there is that it also denies information to Gerry.
So Gerry says Swamp go. Ben says Swamp go. Gerry going to play a Temple of Deceit here. Scry. He's going to think about that top card a little bit, and he says, I want to keep it. Godless Shrine off the top for Ben.
That Temple of Deceit, making blue mana, not relevant here, although it's relevant for Nightveil Spectre.
Godless Shrine comes into play untapped. Ben falls to 16 to cast a Nightveil Spectre. And a Devour Flesh from Gerry that Ben was aware of, so it shouldn't be too surprising.
Yeah, and Gerry had the option of either playing his own Night Veil Spectre or using the Devour Flesh. If he plays his Night Veil Spectre, even though they're 2/3s, Ben can use a removal spell and then get in with the Spectre once.
Yeah.
And even if it's, I mean, the best thing Ben can hit right there would be a land. Getting a free land off your opponent's deck is always nice. We saw how constrained Ben Friedman was on mana last game.
So an Erebos is the play on turn 4 from Ben Friedman. He passes back to Gerry.
This Erebos is going to shut down life gain from Grave Merchant of Asphodel.
That's very, very relevant. Grave Merchant of Asphodel is a big part of the game plan, namely because of the, well, partly because of the drain, partly because of the life gain. Desecration Demon, the play from Gerry on turn 4.
It's also good against Whip of Erebos, which grants lifelink, but we
Right.
know that Gerry is not playing that card.
Yeah, very interesting choice there. I feel like the Whip is a very threatening card, especially against decks like Esper that are showing up, and Gerry just says, I don't need it. So another Mutavault for Ben Friedman. He's got 2 copies in play now alongside a Godless Shrine and 2 Swamps.
Yeah, plenty of lands for Ben this game, and more importantly, plenty of Mutavaults that could come into play here.
As he passes back to Gerry, Desecration Demon meets Hero's Downfall from Ben Friedman just before combat. Pack Rat is the follow-up play from Gerry Thompson. Gerry with 3 mana open and the ability to make a rat at will.
Ben's going to pay 2 life and draw a card with Erebos' activated ability.
I think he found a Devour Flesh there. I believe Ben has a Devour Flesh, a Grey Merchant of Asphodel, and a Night Veil Spectre in hand.
He needs to find multiple removal spells to deal with that Pack Rat. Pack Rat on turn 5, so great because it can protect itself essentially by making a copy. So the question is, what do you do here?
Yeah, Ben obviously lacking the tools, or lacking the immediate answer for Pack Rat.
He cannot stop the Pack Rats, so I think the solution is you want to go a little aggressive.
So he goes ahead and attacks with the Mutavault,
Yeah.
and then plays a Night Veil Spectre. Passes the turn to Gerry, who immediately makes a copy of Pack Rat with that open 3 mana. Gerry with 2 Pack Rats in play right now, both being 2/2s at this point. No Mutavaults on Jerry's side of the board at the moment, so that's not an option for him to pump the rats. Gerry's hand appears to have an Erebos and a Night Veil Spectre and a 3rd card that I missed.
Gonna attack. Quite aggressive.
Night
And
Veil
makes a 3rd
Spectre
rat.
discarded to make a 3rd rat, so in for 6, says Gerry.
That's not bad, yeah. Attack for 6, have a 3/3 blocker. I don't know, it almost feels like he knows that Ben Friedman's removal spell is Devour Flesh. He could choose to sacrifice one of the tapped rats.
Yeah.
If Ben had a targeted removal spell here to take out the untapped Pack Rat and attack with the Mutavaults, he could put a little bit more pressure on Gerry, but cannot do so.
Yeah, it's a tough spot for Ben here. He's trying to...
He had
Trying
that
to
Grey
fight-
Merchant. I think yeah, there you go. Taps
Yeah.
5.
So
I
Grey
mean, this is
Merchant...
big.
Yeah, Grey Merchant's going to gain him 6 life here if he chooses to cast it. He's at 11 right now.
And do it while Gerry has not committed an Erebos to the field. Unless Gerry has discarded the Erebos we saw in the opening hand,
I think he's
Ben's
still holding it.
known about it. Yeah.
Yeah, he's still holding it. Ultimate price on the, it looks like the, yeah, I guess on the Grey Merchant is the only
Responding to the trigger.
available target, responding to the trigger, as you mentioned. So,
So Ben only drains for 4.
yeah,
An important 4-life swing there with the ultimate price in response to the trigger.
Night Veil Spectre gets in and finds a
Free
land on the
land.
top of Jerry's library, and he's able to play it. So it's a swamp, free swamp, and he passes back to Gerry. Gerry appears to have 2 cards in hand. It's Erebos that was sitting in hand earlier, and whatever card was on top of his library.
that ultimate price so key, not only saving himself 2 life,
Mhm.
a 4 life swing, but also keeping the Erebos as only an enchantment.
Yeah. And getting rid of a blocker for those rats.
Yeah, that was a very key ultimate price. That was the ultimate price of victory. I don't
Gerry.
know if he's gonna win yet, but I'm just gonna call it a victory.
It's definitely a nice option for him to have. All right, so Gerry trying to decide what he wants to do here. In the tank,
2 cards in hand,
one
so
is a swamp, so it's Swamp Erebos.
he cannot make 2 rats here. He would need to play a 6 land and then have 2 cards in hand.
Right.
It's an important consideration.
So the most he can have is 4 rats at the moment.
12, swinging for 12 if he makes a rat. And he's trying to figure out how much he would take on the backswing if he does not have an answer, say, for another Gray Merchant. That would be another big drain, and then Erebos would again come across.
Right. So all 3 rats appear to be attacking. That's 9 power worth of rats.
Another consideration, the Erebos in Gerry's hand, not devoted enough yet. Those pack rats only providing 3, so yeah, he chooses to discard Erebos instead.
Yeah, so a 4th rat from Gerry, but at the cost of discarding Erebos, and he passes back to Ben, who is now down to 3 after taking hits from 3 4/4 rats.
This is a very tough spot for Ben Friedman to be in. Pack rat has gotten out of control.
I think they're almost immediately out of control. It's like as soon as there's 2, then they're out of control, because unless you have something like a Supreme Verdict or 2 removal spells.
Yeah, 1 for 1 answer's not enough,
yeah.
And that Devour Flesh has been in Ben's hand this whole time, facing down the pack rat problem. Unfortunately, you're not going to get the job done.
All right, Devotion right now for Ben is at 4. He's got the 3 pips on the Night Veil Spectre, 1 on the Erebos, so he can...
Did you just call them pips?
Pips. That's what I've heard some people refer to them as pips.
Okay.
Namely Michael J. Flores.
When I think of pips, I think of Star Trek The Next Generation and the insignias on their collar to denote their rank.
Well, there you go.
You know, 1 for ensign, 2 for lieutenant, 3 for commander.
I'll believe
for
you
captain.
on that because I've never watched.
Are you kidding me?
I'm not a fan.
Joseph Pascoe.
Sorry. I apologize, Ricky. Don't mean to disappoint you.
I'm very disappointed. I don't know if we can continue to be birthday buddies.
All right, so Ben looks like he's going to go with a Whip of Erebos here, which will not only turn on Devotion for his Erebos, but give his guys lifelink. And he's also got mana up for a Devour Flesh, which, if necessary, he can target himself and sacrifice the Erebos to gain 7 life if he needs to. I mean, I don't know that that's a situation he's going to be in, but it's an option.
This board position just went from dominating for Gerry Thompson to not quite dominating for Ben, but close to parity.
Yeah, a little more even, yeah.
Well, I mean, the pack rats are still a gigantic problem, but now Gerry Thompson perhaps wishing that he had not pitched his own Erebos to make a rat, because he would really love to be able to shut down the lifelink from the whip.
Yeah, he can use the whip now to bring back the Gray Merchant for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's what Ben is tapping there on the table. He did actually have a swamp as the play. He looks like he's trying to figure out his attack.
He's trying to see if he can attack with anything.
Right, if he attacks, he can gain 7 life off of the attack. He can actually gain 9 life if he brings back the Gray Merchant with the whip.
So on his next turn, Gerry can activate Pack Rat and make a 5th rat that would be summoning 6, so 5/5 rats attacking 4 of them. If 2 of them get through, that's 10 damage.
No attack from Ben. So he stays at 3 life, but he does have the option to activate that whip. And here we go, Hero's Downfall from Gerry on the on the Night Veil Spectre, and that is going to be trouble. That's big trouble. That was a nice card off the top for Gerry. That's going to shrink Devotion. Ben, I think, has to activate Whip. No. Wow. He says okay, and all the rats coming in, says Gerry. That's
currently 4/4 pack rats.
Yeah, he can't block with Erebos, right? There's no longer Devotion there. He's got a Mutavault available.
So 4/4 rats. Gerry cannot make another rat. He only has 1 card in hand and 2 mana available.
Now Ben has no way to really deal with those rats, and he extends the hand, falling to Gerry Thompson here in round 15. I don't know if he would have been able to get out of that turn anyway after that Hero's Downfall on the